imagine the god Zeus. Like, seriously, picture him in your head right now.
Oh, yeah. The classic toga. Right.
Exactly. You're probably envisioning exactly what we've all been trained to see. Pristine white marble, perfectly chiseled features.
Bathed in this, like, blinding, golden, divine light.
Right. He's standing on a cloud or maybe a mountaintop, just absolutely untouched by the dirt and, the grime of the mortal world.
Yeah, the museum version of him.
Exactly. Now, I want you to take that pristine image and just drop him into a soot-stained, incredibly humid Louisiana swamp.
Oh, wow. Okay. That is quite the visual.
Right. Rip away the toga, redesign his armor to look like a cold, unforgiving 1920s skyscraper.
That's a huge schist.
And trap him in the claustrophobic, shadow-drenched lens of a gritty detective movie. Because today, we are ripping mythology completely out of the museum.
I love this. It is a profound violation of expectations, and I think that's exactly why it works so beautifully.
Yeah, it really does.
We're looking at an approach that takes, the most elevated, untouchable concepts of human storytelling.
The cosmic scales.
Right, the grand scale of ancient gods. And it just forcibly grounds them in the mud of a very specific, deeply flawed human reality.
Exactly. And the source we are diving into today is it's this single, incredibly dense, creative document.
Very dense.
It's a project Bible for a cinematic adaptation. And the title alone tells you're in for something completely different. It's called the All-Father Clash 16:9 widescreen edition.
Which is such an amazing title. And, for anyone unfamiliar with the terminology, a project Bible isn't, it's not a script.
Right.
You don't read it to find out, what characters say in scene 4.
Yeah.
It is the architectural blueprint of an entire fictional universe.
It sets all the rules.
Exactly. It dictates the physical laws of the world, the psychological profiles of the inhabitants, the color palettes, the thematic soul, really.
It's basically the DNA of the story.
Yes, the exact rules of engagement.
And our mission today is to decode that DNA. We're going to look at the architectural symbolism, these incredibly stark visual languages, and this massive philosophical collision between two iconic allfathers.
Zeus and Odin.
Zeus and Odin. But they are completely reimagined here, and the very first thing this document establishes is its tone.
Oh, the tone mandate is fascinating.
It uses a phrase that honestly made me just stop reading and stare at the page for a minute. It says, Southern Gothic Noir meets cosmic epic.
It's a completely jarring combination. You have two genres that operate on entirely different frequencies.
Yeah, total opposite ends of the spectrum.
Right. A cosmic epic deals with galaxies, creation, the literal fate of reality. It's vast and sprawling.
And usually pretty optimistic, right? Like about the grand scale of the universe.
Yeah, exactly. Southern Gothic Noir is the exact opposite of that.
Right. Southern Gothic is so claustrophobic. It's like, think of a sprawling plantation house that's just rotting from the inside out.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
It's all about the oppressive humidity. Polite society masking this deep generational decay and just the inescapable weight of past sins.
Yeah, where everyone has a dark secret.
Exactly. The foundations are literally sinking into the swamp, and there's this pervasive sense of inevitable doom everywhere.
So when you collide those two concepts, you get a universe where the gods are not purely benevolent.
No, not at
or
all.
inherently just.
Yeah.
They are deeply flawed, decaying institutions hiding behind this facade of divine authority.
And the noir element really adds that layer of fatalism, doesn't it?
It really does. In a noir story, the detective might solve the case, but, the city remains corrupt. The system is still rigged.
Right. The bad guys still kind of win in the end.
Yeah. So applying that to a clash between Zeus and Odin immediately tells the audience, do not look for a pristine hero here.
You are watching two massive, corrupt structures just violently grinding against each other.
Exactly.
Which naturally brings us to the core engine of this entire Project Bible. The text actually calls it the anchor concept.
Right, the big philosophical collision.
Yeah. It frames this clash not as like a physical wrestling match with lightning and spears, but as a deeply rooted ideological war. It draws a very clear line in the sand.
On one side, we have Zeus.
Right. And he is designated as the living embodiment of unchecked power.
Unchecked power.
And on the other side is Odin, representing sacrificial wisdom.
Those are two very heavy concepts.
Let's dig into Zeus first, because the document uses a very specific, honestly kind of chilling phrase to describe his power.
What does it say?
It calls his sovereignty absolute and self-justifying.
Oh, wow. Self-justifying. That is perhaps the most dangerous type of authority that can exist.
Really? Why do you say that?
Well, let's look at the mechanics of what that actually means. A self-justifying power operates in a complete vacuum.
Oh,
You know,
okay, right.
it requires no external validation. It doesn't rely on the consent of the governed. It doesn't adhere to a constitution.
It just exists.
Exactly. And it doesn't recognize any moral framework outside of its own existence. The logic is a closed, impenetrable loop.
So it's basically saying, I am in charge because I am powerful, and whatever I do is morally correct simply because I am the one doing it.
Yes, that is the exact definition of self-justifying power.
But I have to push back on the reality of that kind of power, or at least, how sustainable it actually is in practice.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Isn't a self-justifying system incredibly fragile? Think about it. If you never have to explain your actions to anyone, you never experience any friction.
Right.
And friction is what tests the strength of a material, right? If you are a leader surrounded by people who just nod and agree, you never actually have to defend your foundation.
That's a really good point.
You just assume your strength is infinite because it's never been challenged by reality.
You are hitting on the exact psychological vulnerability the writers are establishing for Zeus here.
Really?
Yes, a system that avoids friction is a system without an immune system.
Oh, I like that.
When power is self-justifying, it becomes inherently untethered from reality. It relies entirely on the illusion of inevitability.
So it's mostly smoke and mirrors.
Completely.
Yeah.
Zeus, in this iteration, isn't strong because he has survived countless trials. He is strong because he has successfully prevented anyone from ever testing him.
Wow.
It is a terrifying facade of strength, but it is entirely hollow at the core.
It's the difference between, like, a muscle built by lifting heavy weights every day and a balloon that just looks huge because you pumped it full of air.
Yes, perfect analogy.
One poke and the whole thing just pops.
Exactly.
And that hollowness is in this stark, deliberate contrast to how this document positions Odin.
Right, because Odin is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah. Odin's domain is sacrificial wisdom, and the text explicitly notes that every single ounce of his wisdom was bought through personal cost and sacrifice.
That completely flips the paradigm of divine power. I mean, Zeus's power is a birthright, right? It just is.
He was born with it.
But Odin's power is a transaction. He had to walk into the marketplace of the cosmos and pay for it.
And the currency he used was his own physical and psychological suffering.
Precisely. In classical mythology, Odin hangs himself from the world tree for 9 days just to learn the runes.
Oh, right.
He literally tears out his own eye and drops it into a well just to gain a drink of cosmic knowledge.
Which is brutal.
It is. And this Project Bible leans heavily into that transaction. It's all about the cost.
Which fundamentally changes how a leader operates. I mean, if you inherited $1 billion, you might throw it around carelessly, right?
Yeah, because you don't know the weight of it.
Exactly. But if you earn that money by working grueling 80-hour weeks for 30 years, you are going to count every single penny.
You know the value.
Odin's power is heavy because he holds the receipt. He knows exactly what it cost him to become the Allfather.
Precisely. His power is grounded in loss. And that gives him a profound awareness of consequence, which is something a self-justifying ruler like Zeus completely lacks.
Because Zeus never lost anything.
Right. Odin understands that every action has a reaction. Every gain requires a sacrifice, and no position is truly permanent.
He operates from a place of deep, almost agonizing pragmatism.
He really does.
Think about the leaders, managers, or even mentors in your own life right now. When the pressure is really on, who do you instinctively trust?
That's a great question to ask yourself.
Do you trust the polished, pristine executive who was, fast-tracked to the top and has never experienced a real failure?
The one radiating that untested self-justifying confidence.
Right. Or do you gravitate toward the scarred veteran? The one who has survived layoffs, recessions, and bad decisions, and has the metaphorical limp to prove it.
Most people want the veteran.
Exactly. And this document is betting its entire narrative weight on that tension.
It's forcing a complete reevaluation of what constitutes actual strength. And, what makes this Project Bible so incredibly compelling is how it takes these massive, abstract, philosophical concepts.
Untested ego versus transactional wisdom.
Right. And translates them into immediate, visceral, visual language.
the character silhouettes.
Yes, the philosophies aren't just in the dialogue. They are literally baked into the character designs.
The visual mandates in this document are stunning. Let's look at how they dress Zeus first.
Okay.
The text demands a sharp, angular, Art Deco silhouette for his armor and physical presence.
Art Deco.
The moment I read that, it clicked perfectly, but it's such an aggressive departure from the guy in the white toga holding a lightning bolt.
It is a brilliant, highly intentional design choice. But to understand why, we really have to look at what Art Deco actually communicates visually.
Break that down, Chris.
So, emerging in the 1920s and peaking in the 30s, Art Deco is the visual language of absolute, uncompromising modernity.
It's very glamorous.
Very. It is associated with extreme wealth, luxury, and this rigid, almost mathematical geometry.
Lots of straight lines.
Exactly. It is defined by sleek, parallel lines, chevron patterns, and forms that just relentlessly point upward.
It's the Chrysler Building. It's the Great Gatsby. It is the visual representation of mankind, basically saying, we have conquered the world.
Yes.
What always strikes me about Art Deco is how entirely synthetic it is. Like, it completely rejects the organic curves of nature.
It doesn't flow at all.
No, it dictates. If you run into a classical Roman pillar, you bump into a smooth cylinder. But if you run into an Art Deco building, you are going to get cut on a sharp, metallic edge.
Exactly. Art Deco is mankind imposing its will over nature.
Wow.
By wrapping Zeus in a sharp, angular Art Deco silhouette, the creators are visually reinforcing his self-justifying sovereignty.
Because he's pristine.
He is pristine, he is wealthy, and he is deeply unnatural.
Yeah.
There's zero warmth in those sharp angles.
It's all cold metal.
Right. The silhouette tells the audience that this god does not bend, he does not yield, and he certainly does not compromise. He's a perfectly engineered luxury machine of power.
Contrast that absolute rigid luxury with the visual mandate for Odin.
This is where it gets so good.
The text describes Odin as wearing heavy, brutalist armor with glowing amber runes.
Brutalist armor.
This is architectural whiplash. I mean, if Zeus is an untouchable, gleaming skyscraper in Manhattan, Odin is a Soviet-era Cold War bunker buried under a mountain.
Brutalism is the perfect architectural analog for sacrificial wisdom. It really is.
Tell us a bit about brutalism for those who might not be architectural nerds.
Sure. Brutalist architecture emerged heavily after World War II. It was a direct reaction to the trauma of the war and the need to rebuild quickly, efficiently, and strongly.
Right.
The term itself actually comes from the French phrase béton brut, which just means raw concrete.
Raw concrete, okay.
Brutalism does not hide its materials. It doesn't use paint or decorative molding to pretend to be something it's not.
It's completely honest.
Yes. It is massive, monolithic, and deeply honest about its own weight and function.
It is the absolute antithesis of Art Deco's glamour.
Completely.
Brutalism is often criticized for being ugly or oppressive, but, I mean, it's undeniable that it is built to survive.
It's built to last.
Odin isn't trying to impress anyone with sleek lines. His armor is exposed concrete and raw iron. It's functional to the point of harshness.
Right. It visually communicates that this is a god who expects to be hit.
He expects war.
Yes. He has armored himself for endurance, not for a parade.
And that brings us to the most crucial detail of his design, which I absolutely love, the glowing amber runes.
Oh, the amber runes. Let's talk about those.
Because in a sea of cold, raw, brutalist gray, these runes provide the only source of warmth. But we have to consider what amber actually is.
Right, it's not a gemstone.
No, it is tree resin that has been subjected to immense pressure and time until it fossilizes.
It is a literal piece of ancient history that has endured the crushing weight of the earth.
Oh, that's so brilliant. The light he emits isn't the blinding heavenly gold of Zeus. It's the slow, heavy, fossilized warmth of survival.
It's beautiful symbolism.
It perfectly mirrors the idea that his wisdom was bought with time and pressure. The amber is literally the receipt for his sacrifice.
Exactly. It creates an immediate, subconscious understanding in the viewer. You don't need a line of exposition to explain their differences.
Well, you just have to look at them.
Right. And this design philosophy doesn't stop at the hem of their cloaks. The Project Bible takes these personal philosophies and scales them up to the macro level.
It applies them to the very cities these gods rule.
Yes, the cities are characters themselves.
The Neo-Noir god cities. This is where the world building gets deeply immersive. Architecture becomes destiny here. Let's examine Olympus first.
The gilded spire.
Yeah, the document titles Zeus's Domain, the Gilded Spire, and describes it as a massive vertical monolith stretching into the sky. And the thematic note attached to it is that Olympus symbolizes pride and unsustainable expansion.
A vertical monolith is the ultimate expression of ego.
How so?
While the fundamental goal of a spire is to distance itself from the ground. It wants to conquer the sky, to look down on everything else.
Right.
But in doing so, it isolates itself. The higher a structure goes, the thinner the air becomes, and the further away it gets from the people, the earth, and the actual foundation that supports it.
It's the architectural equivalent of self-justifying power.
Yes, exactly.
It pushes up, ignoring gravity, ignoring the base, just assuming it can grow infinitely.
And the text mandates a very specific color palette for this spire, right?
Yeah, it does. It's white, blue, and gold.
Now, in classical mythology, white, blue, and gold represent purity, the heavens, divinity, all the good stuff.
Right.
But remember, our lens, Southern Gothic noir.
Oh, right.
In a noir setting, purity is almost always a lie.
Yeah, there's always something rotten underneath.
Exactly. When you apply those colors to a towering, isolated monolith, they stop feeling divine and start feeling sterile.
Like a hospital.
Yes. It's the cold, unfeeling light of a surgical operating room. Or, the detached, chilling perfection of a billionaire's penthouse.
It is an elite class completely divorced from the grime of reality.
Which is exactly where Odin lives.
Right. The grime of reality. The text calls Asgard the Obsidian root.
The Obsidian root.
And it characterizes it as an industrial Gothic metropolis. If Olympus is a spire desperately trying to escape the earth, Asgard is a root digging violently into it.
The metaphor of a root is incredibly dense here.
Unpack that a bit.
Think about it. Roots do not seek the sun. They seek sustenance in the dark.
Okay, yeah.
They have to break through rocks and hard soil. Their entire purpose is to provide an anchor. An obsidian root implies something born of volcanic heat.
Something sharp and heavy.
And unbreakable. Asgard is not interested in expanding upward. It is purely concerned with establishing a foundation so deep that it cannot be uprooted.
And the lighting palette for Asgard is the total opposite of Olympus. The text dictates ember, red, and black.
Ember, red, and black.
It evokes the suffocating heat of a forge. It's the grit of heavy industry, the soot of the coal mines.
It visually connects to the blood of sacrifice.
And those glowing amber runes on Odin's armor.
Exactly. It all ties together. It's a city of labor, friction, and heat.
When you place these two cities within that Southern Gothic noir framework, the dynamic of the universe is just laid bare.
It really is.
You have Olympus, the corrupt, gilded elite residing high above, rotting from the inside but projecting a flawless facade.
Right.
And you have Asgard, the gritty, soot-stained working-class reality below, carrying the actual weight of the world.
It's the penthouse versus the boiler room.
That's a great way to put it. But here is where this Project Bible elevates itself from just a cool concept to a true, cinematic vision.
Yeah, the technical mandates.
Because you have a fundamental problem as a filmmaker. How do you film a towering vertical spire and a deep, sprawling horizontal root in the same movie and make them both feel native to the screen?
It's a massive challenge.
And this brings us to a hyper-specific technical mandate in the text that honestly blew my mind.
The aspect ratio.
The creators explicitly state that this entire project is designed strictly for a 16:9 widescreen format.
It is so rare to see an aspect ratio dictated so rigidly in a cinematic Bible. Usually that's left to the director or the cinematographer.
Right.
But here, the medium is quite literally enforcing the message.
Oh, absolutely.
The 16:9 widescreen format isn't just a stylistic preference. It is a weaponized cinematic tool.
Weaponized?
Yes. Used to subtly dictate the winner of this ideological war from the very first frame.
Let's break down the mechanics of this because it is brilliant. The text notes that the composition is shifted from vertical to wide-angle panoramic.
Okay, so think about what happens when you try to film a towering vertical monolith like Olympus in a wide horizontal frame.
It's a geometric mismatch.
Exactly. When you shoot a tall, thin object in a wide frame, you're forced to include a massive amount of empty space on the left and right sides of the screen.
Right, because you have to zoom out so far just to get the top and bottom in the shot.
Yes. In cinematography, this is called negative space.
Negative space.
And normally, negative space is used to create a sense of isolation, vulnerability, or dread. By forcing Zeus's vertical spire into a horizontal frame, the camera itself is actively undermining his authority.
It highlights how utterly disconnected the spire is from anything else.
The widescreen format traps Olympus. It makes that unsustainable expansion look incredibly lonely, fragile, and just precarious.
The camera is actively hostile to Zeus's ego.
Yes,
It refuses to tilt up and worship him. Instead, it stays locked in this wide panorama, showing you all the empty air around his flimsy tower.
it's such a power move by the filmmakers.
But conversely, look at how the 16:9 frame treats Asgard. The Obsidian root is an industrial metropolis that spreads out horizontally.
It digs wide.
Exactly.
The horizontal format is completely allied with Odin. Asgard naturally fills the 16:9 panoramic shot. It doesn't fight the edges of the screen, you know.
Right, it flows into them.
The camera loves the root system because the root system is inherently wide.
So this format subtly tells the audience that Asgard's grounded, sprawling foundation is the natural state of this universe.
While Olympus's verticality is an awkward, unsustainable aberration.
The text actually mentions using this composition for horizon line conflicts and establishing the epic distance between gods.
Horizon line conflicts. That's a great phrase.
By mapping those contrasting lighting palettes, the sterile white, blue, and gold against the industrial ember red and black, across a wide horizon line, the screen itself basically becomes the battlefield.
It really does.
The 16:9 ratio pulls Zeus down from his pedestal. It forces these two completely distinct domains to face each other on a level, horizontal playing field.
It is a visual leveling of the hierarchy.
Right.
Zeus cannot use his vertical advantage if the camera refuses to acknowledge it.
Wow.
It's a structural preview of the narrative conclusion.
Yeah.
The clash between these two forces is inevitable, and the framing tells us that the vertical simply cannot survive in a horizontal world.
Which brings us to the climax of the Project Bible, the inevitable collision of unchecked ego and sacrificial endurance.
The big finale.
Having set the stage, defined the psychological profiles, built the architecture, and even rigged the camera lens to tell the story, the document delivers the payoff.
And it does not pull its punches.
It states, very unambiguously, the clash results in the collapse of Olympus.
The fall of the gilded spire.
But the document is very careful to explain the mechanics of why it falls.
Right, it's not just Odin beat him up.
Exactly. It doesn't say Odin's magical lightning was stronger or his army was larger. It explicitly states that Olympus shatters under its own lack of foundation.
That is the key. It's a structural inevitability.
Zeus's self-justifying sovereignty, his Art Deco rigidity, his total refusal to experience friction, none of it could hold up when confronted with a reality that actually pushes back.
It's the ultimate consequence of an untested system.
If you build a mile-high tower with a 10-foot foundation, you don't need a massive earthquake to knock it down.
A stiff breeze will do it.
Exactly. Olympus basically defeated itself.
It's the collapse of the illusion.
Yeah.
And the text's description of the aftermath is profoundly tied to its noir roots.
Right, because noir doesn't do happy endings.
Exactly. It doesn't give us a triumphant parade for Odin. The sun doesn't come out. It describes him as the scarred winner.
I love that phrase so much, scarred winner. It reminds me of siege warfare.
Oh, tell me about that.
Think of a medieval castle under assault. The attacking army, that's Zeus, shows up with gleaming banners, massive siege engines, and immense, loud, overwhelming volume.
Right. Very flashy.
They throw everything they have at the walls, exhausting their resources, just trying to prove their absolute dominance.
And what about the defenders?
The defending army inside the Brutalist bunker, that's Odin, they don't have to be flashy.
No.
They just have to ration their water, patch the walls, take the hits, and wait for winter to freeze the attacking army to death.
Oh, that's so good.
Odin wins because he was built to endure the winter. But, you know, he still has to live in a castle with shattered walls.
That is a brilliant way to frame it. The siege analogy captures the exact dynamic of this conflict.
It really does.
And it leads directly to the final thematic takeaway of the entire Project Bible. The thesis is laid out so clearly.
What is it?
True power is endurance, not mere volume.
Volume versus endurance.
Yes.
Volume is Olympus. It's the loudest guy in the room. It's massive, tall, self-justifying, and just desperate for attention. It demands that you look at its gilded spire.
But endurance is Asgard.
Right. It's rooted in the dirt, It's sacrificial, heavy, functional, and deeply, deeply scarred.
When you pull all of these threads together, you really see the terrifying symmetry of this
It's
document.
incredibly cohesive.
The philosophy of untested power versus sacrificial wisdom dictated the Art Deco versus Brutalist character designs.
Right.
Those armor designs scaled up into the vertical spire and horizontal root architecture.
Yep.
That architecture was then deliberately squeezed into a 16:9 widescreen format to visually expose the weakness of the spire and the strength of the root.
Every single choice matters.
Every single creative choice, from the tone to the aspect ratio, was driving toward this exact climax, the moment volume collapses and endurance survives.
It is a masterclass in cohesive storytelling. I mean, it takes a massive abstract idea and weaves it into every single pixel of the world.
It really does.
As we close out this deep dive, I think the real value of a text like this is pulling it out of the fictional cosmos and laying it over our own reality.
No, absolutely. The tension between volume and endurance is literally everywhere.
Yeah, it is.
Look at the structures around you. Look at the companies you buy from, the institutions that govern you, or even your own personal ambitions.
That's a great point. Are you building an Olympus?
Right. Are you relying on unsustainable expansion, unchecked ego, and a self-justifying logic that just ignores the unglamorous work of building a real foundation?
This text serves as a stark warning that those structures, no matter how beautiful or gilded they appear, are mathematically destined to shatter under their own weight.
The alternative is to build an Asgard, to build deep, resilient, heavily tested foundations, knowing full well that true endurance requires sacrifice.
That is the challenge this deep dive leaves us with. And, to take that one step further, I want to leave you with a final lingering thought based on that very last phrase from the source.
The scarred winner.
Right. The text says Odin remains as the scarred winner. It forces us to confront a really uncomfortable paradox about survival.
What do you mean?
If true power is entirely about endurance, about your capacity to absorb punishment, sacrifice pieces of yourself, and just outlast your opponent, and the only reward for winning is permanent, heavy scarring,
Yeah.
at what point does the cost of victory become indistinguishable from defeat?
Oh, wow.
If surviving the clash means you are doomed to carry the heavy, brutalist weight of that trauma forever, just wandering a landscape choked with the rubble of Olympus, is
Wow.
anyone really a winner? Think about that.